elements that you want to draw, you can use it. Oh, come on. Right. So that's the first part of this video. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to dive into creating an AR experience in Android. So today we'll learn how to set up and create an environment where you can place 3D models into your environment, and let's just get started. So what we will implement in this video is that we will be implementing Jetpack Compose screens, right? And then we will be using ARCore's functionality through ARSceneView, which is a SDK, and then we will be using Compose navigation as well. So basically, we won't jump to the code right away because I want to explain a couple of things before jumping into the code to make a base for you guys to understand how AR works. And to get started, what is augmented reality? So an augmented reality is a kind of a behavior that basically blends your real world and the digital world. So what by saying that, what I mean is that, let's say you have a phone camera on and you have a plain surface and you want to place some sort of a digital objects like that is not available in reality, right? But when you see it through your camera or you see it through your phone, it shows you that model. So these kind of interaction is called as augmented reality, right? So what it uses is that basically it uses the device camera to overlay those 3D models into your real world environment, and it's like really interactive and immersive experience for users, right? And the next thing is that what is ARCore? I've used it in the second slide as well. So ARCore is basically SDK that is provided by Google that you can use for creating the application on Android, right? The major capabilities are the motion tracking, environment understanding, light estimation, and things like that. By that, what I mean is that let's say if you are tracking your device, the ARCore will help the system understand the motion of the device, right? And again, if there are like surfaces that you want to detect, like you want to place something on it, so it will help you with detecting those plain surfaces like the table or like a simple road or roof or walls, things like that. So that helps with detecting those kind of things as well. And also it helps you with the light estimation on how the objects are being created and the ambience of light. So these kind of things are basically provided by ARCore. The third thing is ARSceneView. So basically, if you try to implement ARCore, it can get a little overwhelming if you are starting, and it can make things very complex for you to understand. So scene view basically comes to party. It is basically a library or a SDK provided by scene view. So we will be using AR scene view for that. It basically uses Google Filament and AR Core as a basic. It basically helps you simplify the AR experience or implementing the AR experience in your Android app. The third thing is that there are some terms that I'm gonna explain a little. We'll be using those terms in the code as well, but just an overview of what are those terms and what is the meaning of those terms, right? So the first thing in AR development is basically let's say start with a very basic term of AR. So the first thing is session. A session is basically like a state of what the AR or the augmented reality is currently showing, or if there is like what is the state of the AR that you have, right? So let's say you have this camera and you have created your app of AR. So at one point there will be some state for that AR functionality into that camera. Let's say the plane is detected or not, on things like that. So every single action or every single functionality that happens in this AR environment, the session is like being updated based on that, right? The next thing is the frame. A frame is just like a normal frame that we discuss in like in a videos and things like that. It's a snapshot of your AR environment and it keeps on updating. So let's say whatever you see on your screen is a frame from the AR environment, right? And if you change like move and things like that, so every single time it just keep on updating. So frame is basically something like that. The tracking, again, I mentioned in the previous video as well, that the motion tracking basically helps you with the movement of the devices, and it basically keep the object stable. Like if I place an object at one place, if I move my camera, the object should not be moving with me, but like it should be placed the way wherever I have placed it. And then if I move my camera, it should like handle it like that. Then we have some interaction. So let's say if you want to interact with your AR views or AR screen, you'll have like a couple of things. The first thing is hit test. Hit test is basically something like if I click on some place in a camera, and it will basically detect that surface on where the user has tapped. So let's say I have a table in front of me, and the AR view is basically showing that table. So if I click on one specific spot, it will detect that position on the screen, and it will map it with the position of that table, so that if you want to place some sort of object on that, it will place it over here, right? I'll explain it more in the video, so don't worry if you don't get enough of it, but these are these terms that I want to explain before we can like start implementing, so you have some initial knowledge about these. So the next thing is anchor. What by anchor mean is that it's a fixed position where you place that element. So let's say when you tap on a screen, it basically point to anchor, and if you place that object on that anchor, it means that that object, the 3D model, will be placed on that specific point, and that is called anchor, right? Then again it comes to depth mode. The depth mode is basically defines that, like with the name it is like very evident that a depth mean is that how far or near item is being placed. Then another thing is the light estimation. So light basically is responsible for trying to match the light of your object with the real world, so it looks fit in rather than it just looking very differently. So these are some of the core elements. Some other models could be so we have like 3D model loaders, and then material loader. The 3D model loader and material loader is something like one thing helps with loading the model into the environment, and the other one makes like it helps with applying the textures, the colors, and making the objects realistic. So basically these kind of things, when you assign it with a model, you pass the model to the AR screen, these two components basically helps with applying those things. So next thing is that what we will implement in this video. So we have more or less 4 screen in this specific project. The one screen, the home screen, will have just 2 buttons, nothing fancy, just 2 buttons. One button will be alphabets, and the second button will be quiz. The alphabet screen is responsible to show a list of alphabets, and when user click on one specific alphabet, it will create, like it will open a AR scene view or a AR view, where basically we will by tapping on the screen like places, as I mentioned, like doing the hit tests, we will be placing different model on the anchors. So that's what we will be doing as a first part of the app. And the second part would be a quiz app. A quiz app is more like we will be placing a like we will be opening a AR view to the user, and then when user, let's say when the surface is being like tracked, we will place a random object from the alphabets. It can be any object that we have, the 3D models, and user will have to guess the like the starting alphabet, let's say the reference alphabet to it. So let's say if I place an apple, user will have to select A as an answer. We will be showing 3 different options in the bottom, and if user selects a correct answer, we will be replacing the models to, like we will be replacing the object, the 3D model, to a different random object, and will mark the score as 1. So I think it has been a lot of boring stuff for you guys. So without wasting any time, let's just get started with the code. But yeah, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I think that is the right point to subscribe. So please do subscribe, and let's just get started by creating a new Android project. So what I'll do is that I'll create a new project, and I'll select this empty activity from here, right? And inside that, let's call it AR learner, right? And then let's just click finish. Once you finish, we will be loading this very basic functionality, like the basic structure of the app. And the first thing that we will be doing is that we need a couple of permissions, right? The permissions are something like these. So we'll be using this camera feature, and then we will be using this camera.ar for AR, and we will be using this GLES version, something like that. Add these 3 permission to the a manifest of your project, right? And let's just get to the code. Over here in this UI screen, as I mentioned, we will be having 4 different screens, right? So I'll just create a new package over here and let's call it UI slash screens, right? And inside the screen, create a couple of screens. Let's say home screen, that's a file. So then we will be creating AR screen for AR, and then AR screen mean the next thing would be the quiz screen, and then one more thing is going to be the alphabet screen, alphabet screens. Okay, so I have all these classes ready over here. The next thing I want to do is that I want to set up the navigation for the users. So right now it's just this greeting composable that we are using. I'll just get rid of these, and over here what we will do is that we will be implementing the navigation. So for navigation, what I need is that I need to implement integrate an SDK. And for SDK, what we will be using is that we'll be going to the Gradle script libs.version.toml file, and inside that I'll place this version, and then this is going to be something like this. I think 2.83 is the latest version, so let's just use this. And we also need one more thing, and that is basically integrating the Kotlin serialization. So we need serialization for that, right? And for serialization, we will also be using something like this. Let's just use the latest version that we have. So these are two things that are required when we are working with the latest navigation components. And for this, what we will do is that now we'll go over here into the build Gradle file that we have, and inside that we will implement the dependency that we have taken from there. So libs.androidx.navigation.compose, that's one thing, and then another one is implementation libs.kotlinx.serialization.json. So once you do these two things, let's just sync the code. And one more thing that we need is that when we are adding, like integrating serialization, we need to add a couple of plugins as well. And to add these plugins, what you need to do is that we'll use the plugin, we'll go to the overall project level Gradle file, and over here we will use this ID to enable these plugins that can be used. And once you do that, make sure to sync it. And once you sync that, we'll get over here into the build.gradle file of the app module. Over here we'll enable this plugin serialization. So once you do that, let's just sync that again so that everything is ready. What we did is that we integrated the basic core compose and then JSON to the SDK. And then over here now in the main activity, or maybe you can create a new package for that. So let's create a new package, call it navigation, and inside that navigation, let's create a class and call it nav routes. Okay, so now inside this nav routes, we'll just get rid of this, and we will be creating some nav routes, right? So I'll be creating object home screen, and then make sure to make it serializable. So that's why we added the serialization for Kotlin. The next thing is going to be another serializable and make it an AR screen. Third one is going to be again serialization alphabet screen, and then serialization quiz screen. So this is something. Now the thing is that the AR screen is supposed to get some value as well. That is going to be data class. And now let's make it, add a model and pass a string, and then let's just add a wall to this so that it just doesn't update it. So what we did is over here is that we created a home screen, an AR screen, alphabet screen, and quiz screen. These are the 4 screens that we have added. Now we go to the main activity over here, and then inside this main activity, what we will do is that we'll create a controller that is going to be wall nav controller is equals to remember nav controller. Then we need to import that. Once you do that, the next thing is that you need to create a nav host. Okay, this is the one that will be handling the navigation of our screen. And then inside that, let's just get the start destination to be home screen, right? And then let's just get it like this. Okay, now this is done. The other thing is that we will be creating a composable for this, right? And then rather than using it this way, let's add it like this. This means now it will be using the new implementation for this. We don't need this right now. We don't have the home screen composable, so let's just not use this again. Then we will be using another composable, that is going to be the AR screen. Another one is going to be the alphabet screen, and then we will be using the quiz screen. So all these are there. Let's just import these like this. One more thing that we would like to do to this is that we should also use the inner padding so that the error goes away. Now we have these things, the navigation setup is done, everything is ready, and like I said that the AR screen, we need the alphabet to be passed. Based on that, we will be creating the model. So how we are going to get that model or get that alphabet from this AR module is that we'll be creating a wall model, or let's call it a alphabet is equals to it.toRoute, and over here we will be using this AR screen, and then from there we can just take out this model class. So this means that it will be creating this into a class, data class, and then from there we can use that model that we have created over here. So that's pretty much how we will be using, and then over here we will be creating this AR screens. Now let's just get to this screen and start working on the basic home screen first, and then we will jump to the AR screen, the first functionality that we want. So over here, this home screen, as I mentioned, that we will be using a composable screen over here. Call it home screen, right? This is the home screen. This is going to be a column, and this column is supposed to contain a modifier dot fill max size. Okay, and then now over here inside that, let's create two different buttons. So let's create a button that is going to be text alphabets, and then another button that's going to be text quiz. So that's pretty much what this screen will have. And then now let's say that this is going to take the nav controller as well, as a parameter that we will be using. Now over here, when user click on alphabet, what we will do is that we will create navigation.navigate, and where do we want to navigate? We want to navigate to the alphabet screen. So we'll just pass the alphabets navigation screen route model, right? This is done. And then in case of quiz, we will be using the screen to open the quiz screen. Okay, so that is done. Let's just add a couple of more things, like like vertical arrangement as arrangement.center, and then horizontal alignment as center horizontally. This will basically align everything. And what else do we have? I think that's pretty much what we should have in the home screen. Now this home screen will go to the main activity, and inside this home section we'll just use this as this. This means now the composable is now ready, the home screen is ready. So basically now let's just implement the alphabet screen. So we'll just go to the alphabet screen over here. Inside that, let's just create a composable and create a function alphabet screen, and then again it is supposed to take a nav controller as a parameter. Now over here what we will do is that we'll create a list of alphabets. So let's call it wall list of alphabets, right? And that is going to be list of A, B. Okay, so now we have these alphabets ready. The next thing that we want to do is that we want to create a screen, right? Like some sort of view to the user. And before that, let's just create one more composable, and that composable is supposed to be the alphabet item. So let's call it function alphabet item, right? And it is supposed to return the on click functionality of that. So that is, let's just use this on click functionality for that. And the next thing is, let's just create a box, I would say, and make it modifier dot size, right? And the size, let's call it 100 dp, or if not 100, let's make it 60 dp. Okay, that is the 60 dp box. And then inside that box, let's create a simple text. That text is going to be the alphabet, so let's just pass the alphabet item to this as well and call it this alphabet. Okay, but one more thing that we want to do over here is that maybe we can update the font size, which is good. Also, let's align this into the center as well. So modifier dot align, and that is going to be center, alignment dot center. Okay, once you do that, this means that now we have this alphabet item ready. And let me just get slightly down. Okay, so now you have this alignment dot center, right? The text is there, on click functionality. So for on click functionality, let's just do a couple of more things. So let's say, so what we'll do is that we'll make it clip, and then we'll be saying round corner shape with 16.dp so that it's rounded. And then also let's make it clickable, and then from clickable, let's call it on clicks. One more thing that I want to do over here is that I want to give a random color, a random light color to this. So for that, what we will do is that I'll create function generate random light color. Okay, over here is that we'll call it a random, a Kotlin random, and that is something like that, just a random number that we have passed. And then for next thing that we need to do is that we need to create a random. But the difference over here is that when you set it this way, it can give you anything from 0 to 256, right? So what we need to do is that we need to limit it, so we only get the light colors. So for that, what we will do is that we will be using the any color out of after 150, which means it will be mostly the light colors. Okay, and then again for the green we will be using this, and then for the blue will also be using this. Or what you can do, let's just do one more thing. Let's make it 200 for these. So just the last, very last set of colors. Okay, the next thing that we need to do is that we need to create wall color is equals to color, that is going to be the graphics UI color. And then over here inside that, just pass red, green, blue, which means now it is supposed to that. And then we'll be just returning the color that it created. Just take the return type over here. Okay, and now over here what we will do is that we'll set the background to be the generate random color. This is one way, but what it will do is that whenever whenever you basically scroll the screen, the color will keep on updating. So to keep the color stable, what we'll do is that we will be creating a state over here. So let's just call it color is equals to remember, and then inside that we will be using generate color. Now doing this way, it will still not work. So what we need to do is we need to define the key for this. The reason means is that it will now link it to this key, map it to this key, and then whenever next time it will fetch for this key, it will be giving us the older color if there is any available, right? And then let's just pass this color into this, so that now the alphabet item is ready. We have this list as well. Now the next thing, or the important thing, is that we will be creating a grid. So like for grid, what you can do is that you can create grid views. So you can create some horizontal grids and vertical grids. But what I want is that there will be different screen, there will be different views. So I want the view to adjust accordingly, right? So for that, what I'll do is that I'll be using flow row or flow column. So basically the flow row will help is that it will place item in the row, and then if it thinks that okay, that's the screen size, the new item cannot be placed, it will automatically go to the below line and start placing it, the items over there, right? So let's just create a simple flow row, and then this flow row is supposed to take a modifier, which is like definitely something we need to define some sort of vertical arrangements for this as well, and then horizontal arrangements as well. So this is flow row, and then now what we will do is that we'll be calling list of alphabet dot for each, and then over here you can see this is not required now, but for now, but yeah, let's just do it this way. So what I did is that we did a list of alphabets for each. The list of alphabet is this, so it will keep on like looping on all these items, and then it will just place the item, and then on click, what we want to do is that we want to navigate to AR screen data class, and that takes an alphabet, so we'll pass that like this. Okay, and now this flow row will complain that it's an experimental, so let's just use it as an experimental. We can add a couple of more things to this. Let's say let's make a column. Now inside that, let's create box. Okay, and then modifier dot size, sorry, modifier dot height, that is going to be 60 dot dp. Okay, and inside that, let's just create a text as alphabet and center align it, right? And then take this flow from the rest and place it down there. Okay, one more thing, let's just make it a fill max width as well, so that it takes all the width. And let's say if the view, like if the screen is like the item are bigger and it takes the screen, so you want the screen to vertical to scroll as well. So for that we'll add a vertical scroll, and then over here let's just call it remember vertical, sorry, remember scroll straight. Okay, now this means that it will basically take care of the vertical scroll, and it will set the items as a width on the screen. So I think that should be enough for this. We have this alphabet screen, and now let's just go to main activity and set the alphabet screen over here like this. Okay, now we have done a lot of things, so let's just run the code and see if the implementation that we did is actually working. Okay, so it's complaining about version is 1.9, serialization 1.3, require at least 2, so which means that we can either downgrade the serialization version that we are using, or we can either go for an updated Kotlin version. I don't want to take any risk for now, so let's just try to go for a lower version of Kotlin serialization, and then let's just try to run it. Now it looks like it's working, so we'll just launch the project, and we'll hope that the screens that we have done. So okay, now we have these two buttons, one is alphabet, one is quiz. Let's click on alphabets. When I click on alphabet, you can see that it takes like these item, place all these item as an alphabet with different random colors. So that's how I think we wanted it, but it's still like very smaller in term of size, so maybe we need to adjust the size or like some spacing to this. But yeah, other than that, things looks pretty simple or pretty straightforward. So let's just add some padding as well from outside, which is going to be 16 from. Okay, now it's much better. Okay, so there are spacing, and then the items are like all placed over here, and then when I click, it takes me to a empty screen, which is not there anything right for now. Now what we need to do is that we need to implement our AR screen. AR screen is going to be another composable, so let's just add a composable function AR screen, and then it's gonna take nav controller, and along with that it should take a model as well. Now, the thing is that we need to implement this, but we don't have the AR screen view integrated right now. Like it's not integrated into the project right now. You can see over here as well. So what we need to do is that we need to implement like or integrate the SDK, the screen view SDK that I mentioned. To do that, what we need to do, we need to go to the version toml file over here and then add this new dependency, which is a ARSceneView, and let's call this something like this. So basically this ARSceneView will be using 2.2.1, and once you do that, let's just sync this for once, and then we'll go to the build.gradle file. Meanwhile it's syncing, and from there what we will do is that we will be using the implementation lib.arcview, and then let's just, once that is done, it will again ask for sync, so again sync it. Okay, now this is done, and now we'll get back to our AR screen. If you remember, we discussed a lot of things, like we discussed session, we discussed the model loader, the plane renderers, the sessions, and a lot of things, right? So let's just create those elements, because it is used by the AR scene view that we will be integrating. So the first thing in this specific thing is that we want to define an engine, and then that engine is going to be a remember engine that comes with the AR scene views. So that's the one thing. Then the next thing is going to be the model loader. That will basically help with um, basically creating the models, like loading the model into the AR context or AR environment. So the third one is going to be material loader, right? And that is going to be again remember material loader. So something like this. The other thing is we need a camera node. So we'll be creating a camera node that is basically you're linking your phone's camera with the AR engine. So something like that. I think so. Yeah. So after that, the next thing is that we want some child nodes. Child nodes mean the objects, the list of items which will be placed in the AR. So if like it's we are placing different 3D objects, it will be taking care of all those nodes, how they are placed, where are they are placed. So the list of those nodes it will be available into this. The next thing is that we need a view, basically compose view in other terms, and then that is going to be remember, and we'll be passing engine to this. And the next thing is wall collision system. Again, it's another remember collision system, and it's gonna take a view. So this will basically help us detecting the collision of different objects. If you want to show the plane, like when you are trying to look for a plane, when you are using the view, if you want to show the dots on the screen so that user can understand, okay, now the plane is ready, you can do is that you can maybe define the plane renderer. So let's say, do you want to enable the plane renderer or not? Let's just create a simple remember, and then that is going to be mutable state of false, which means that initially sorry, it will be true. We want to show the plane, and if you don't want to show it, it's up to you. Okay, you can set it to false. Okay, the next thing is going to be model instance, and that is going to be remember, and then this is going to be mutable list of model instance. So something like this. And now let's say when you're trying to find for a plane, there will be some errors, like there will be some kind of a suggestions. So if you want to implement those, you can like add a tracking failure session as well, which means that it will help you track the reasons for the failure, of why the plane is not being detected, and then you can use that. Last thing is that we want to keep a frame as well, because sorry, frame, that is going to be mutable frame, and let's make it null. Basically the frame, what does the frame, again the frame is the things that you see. So every time there will be a change, it will just keep on updating this. And now what I need to do is that we need to implement the AR scene view. Okay, AR scene that is again coming from the SDK that I mentioned. Now inside that, what we will do is that first thing is that we need the modifier to fill the full size, right? We want to place the whole screen as a full screen. And now let's just import these variables. Child nodes, will pass the child node that we have set. Then engine, we'll use the view that we will be passing, and then the model loader. Then let's pass collision system, plane renderer dot value. Camera node is going to be the camera node that we have. We have material loaders, so just pass the material loader into this. So most of the thing that ARScene require are added over here. Now what we need to do is that we need to add some sort of configuration as well. Call the on tracking failure change, which was the tracking failure. Like I mentioned, like if there is some sort of tracking issue, what we will do is that we will try to update this. And then when session updates, so like as I mentioned, that the session is basically a state. So what we will do is that we will call this on session updated, and then inside this session updated, what it gonna give us, there will be a one session, and then there will be a frame, or you can say updated frame, so the new frame, right? And now from this, what we will do is that we'll set the frame value to updated frame, right? We'll not be using session, we'll be using session somewhere else. So let's say if you want to, as soon as the frame is available, you want to draw something, in that case we will be using it, but for now we are not using session, so let's just keep it this way. Configuration for session, and the session for configuration means that we will be setting some sort of again some configs on how we want to set the depth or the lights for these, right? So something like this. So what it did over here is that as I mentioned, the depth mode is do we have depth mode supported in the basically environment? If yes, we set it to automatic. So basically if it's automatic means that okay, it's true, we need to set the depth mode, else we'll disable it, which means that now we don't need it. So if the depth mode is available, we will be using it, else we'll not be using it. And for environmental lights, there are like a different option, environmental HDR. You can also use the disable, you don't want to use the environment light estimation, and then there is this ambient intensity. So it's up to you on how you want it, right? This is session configuration done. Now one more thing is left, and that is when user interact with the view. Like if you remember, we discussed hit test, like when user click somewhere and then you want to draw some item, right? And that is what we want over here. So like when user click somewhere, we want to display that, right? So how do we do that? So to do that, let's just say on gesture listener. So and then that is going to be, remember, gesture listener. Okay, and now this gesture listener will help us basically define different functionality, right? So what we will do is that we will call it one on single tap confirmed. It will be giving us back is going to be a motion event, something like this. Okay, so a motion event and a node, basically anchor node, which basically is there. Now what we need to do is that we need to check if the node is null or not. Like let's say if the place where we have user has tapped is there anything already available? If not, so for that case what we will do is that we will do something like this. So it means that if the node is null, it means that the empty space, and we can place something. Now inside the section, which basically that is what important for me, I'm not supposed to use this second thing for now. Now inside this, what we will do is that we will place the item, like the model, right? We don't have any model right now, but let's say we want to create a model. So now what we need to do is that we need to create an anchor, and the anchor is, if you remember, I mentioned that the anchor is a place where user has tapped, and then you want to place some sort of object over here, right? So what we will do is that we will create a hit test result from there, and then that hit test result will basically be frame dot value dot hit test. And then what it requires is that it requires the motion event dot x, and then motion event dot y. So we'll be passing this to this. Okay, I think that's how it should be. Okay, so now we will basically again check if there is any object available, and then after that we will be getting the first or null. Okay, And then we over here what we want to do is that we want to define the validity as well. So we want to check if it's the hit result that we got is actually valid and there is nothing available over here. So for that what we will say is depth point is false, end point is equals to false. So if these both are false, which means that there is no other item. So we get now over here what we will do is that we'll say create anchor or null. So now if there is like everything is valid, so now what happens over here is that it check the results. If the result is valid, what it will do is that it will try to create an anchor on that. So it will create an anchor, and it will say if you are able to create a anchor, give me that anchor, which means now you will get that position where user has tapped. And then over here what you can do is that you can create anchor for your product, for the object. And now you can over here what you can do is that you can place this. Okay, so now over here what we will do is that we'll create an anchor, and now so basically to create anchor, what I'll do is that I'll create a separate class because we will be using this specific function from different location. So I'll get over here and create a new package and call it util. Okay, and then inside this util, let's just create a utils class. Okay, and then create an object, a singleton util objects. Okay, now inside that we need to define function create anchor node. Okay, and then this anchor node is supposed to get a couple of things from user. So let's say engine, model loader, a model instance, that is going to be a mutable list of model instance, then anchor on which we want to place that node, and then a model basically is something, the 3D model that we will be using. Right now I have no models in my app, so I'll just pass the string, but again we need the model for this as well. Okay, and now inside that let's just create a anchor node is equals to anchor node, and it is going to take engine and anchor. The next thing is going to be the model node. Okay, so now we have this. Let's just import this, and now we don't need this. We'll be using create instanced model, and then inside that we'll be passing something like this. Okay, so basically what it does is that it basically create the instance model. The model is basically a path of the 3D model in the assets folder. So we don't have that yet, but we'll pass it. And then the count is that how many models can be created. So this is what it does. Now what we need to do is that we need to say remove last. Okay, and basically remove last mean is that it will give you the last element from the list of the models. Okay, so now we got this model, this model ready, and now we need to add some more functionalities to this. So let's say if you want to add some sort of scaling of this, so we'll be using some scaling, how big your object you want to create. Is it 1f or is it like 0.2f or something like that? So you can define that as well. The last thing is that if you want the anchor to be editable, like if you want to you allow the user to update your model place, you can change it to is editable as well, is equals to true. Okay, which means that now this model node will be created. Okay, so now this mod is created. Now the thing is that you need to define some sort of bounds for this model as well. So basically what we will do for that is that we will be creating some bounding for that. So we'll create wall bounding box that is equals cube node, and now it requires a couple of things. So like it requires an engine, so we'll pass an engine to this. Then it requires a size, the model node that we create, we will be using that for that tents. Okay, the next thing is going to be the center, is going to be the center of the model, so that it's overall cover everything. And we also want to add the material instance as well, so we'll just use this, and we need to call that from material loader from the outside as well. Okay, we have created these things, and then let's just set the color to be white. But we also want that we don't want to visible, so we'll set the visibility of this to false, so that it's not visible, it's just like invisible node around this. Now what we'll do is that we'll add a child node for this, for our bounding box, and a child node for model node as well. So these are the two things that we will be adding. And now what we will do is that we'll create a list of basically this, and then when you basically editing, like if you are changing something, what it will do is that will convert the visibility, will show you the visibility of that based on that. And that's pretty much what it will be doing. And then what we can do, the last thing that is we will do is that we'll return this anchor node, and that is hopefully something that should help us create the that should help us basically create the anchor node for us. Okay, so now let's just get over here into the AR screen where we were. So now let's just create a wall model that is going to be utils dot create anchor mode, and then it requires all these things that we will be passing. Now if you remember, we had these models, and then you can just add the child nodes to the list. And that is pretty much how it will draw the 3D model onto your screen, right? Okay, we have the same name for model somewhere else as well, so let's just call it node model, something like this. And now let's just use it this way. Okay, now the problem is that this model thing is important. We don't have this model. We need to pass the path for that model, like the name of that model, and we don't have anything over here. So now what I'm going to do is that I'll create the models. So now what I've done is that I've created different models from different websites. And one of the website that you can use that I've also used is Sketchfab. From Sketchfab you can like download all these different kind of models on how you want it, depending on your need. There are some paid and then there are some free as well, so it's up to you on how you can how do you want, you can download the models, and I've already downloaded them. So now what I'll do is that I'll create a new package that is going to be a directory, and we'll be calling it assets. So that is going to be the main assets over here. And now inside these assets, let's create a new folder and call them models. Okay, now these models are basically the one that I'll be using, so I'll just copy all those models that I have and I'll paste it over here inside this. Now you can see that I have these models that are there right now. Okay, so now what we will be doing is that over here, when we get this, we want to fetch the model for this, right? This is basically a simple string. So for that, what I'm going to do is that I'll go to my utils function over here and create another function. Let's call it function and call this get model for alphabet, and that is going to give me alphabet as string, and in return I'm going to return the name of the model, for example. So that's one thing that I want to do. I'll create a map of alphabets, and let's just create this map of alphabet. And what it does is that I have basically created a map of, like for A, I have assigned the name of the alphabet order that I have. So A for apple, B for ball, and things like that. So apple will go to apple, ball will go to balls, cat will go to cat, and then along with that, everything is set it accordingly, right? So that's one thing, and we'll just use this alphabets over here now for something like this. So let's say if we have name available, alphabets available, we'll be using that. Else if something wrong comes up, we'll not be using it. And now inside this AR screen over here, what we will do is that we'll call it utils dot get model for alphabet, and then we will pass the models into it. So we have done quite a lot of things, and now let's just use this AR screen in the main activity. Over here in the main activity, we don't have the AR screen, so let's just create this AR screen. So now I have the screen implemented, and now if I run the app this time, hopefully it will show me something. But there is a catch. The AR functionality is not available on the emulator, so you need to run it on a live device. I'll see if I can show you my device. So the app is basically I just started the app to run. Okay, now you can see that I have this alphabets and quiz. I'll just click on this, and now let's just select, let's say D in my case, and as soon as I click on that, it asks me for my permission, and then what it does is that it tries to look for a plane. So we'll just try to give it a plane, something like that. And now over here, let's place the model that we have, and now you can see that this model is there. You can zoom into that model and zoom out, and it's still there. If I move it somewhere else, you will still be able to see that. And this is basically how the model is looking. Maybe I should rotate it down as well, like this. You can see, right? Now the thing is that you'll still see the anchor, like the plane that is there. If you want to hide that, you can set that value to false, so that next time it doesn't show to you. And that's basically the first part of what we wanted to draw. And now the next thing is that we need to draw the other part, like when we basically will be using a quiz for this. So that's first part. Oh, sorry. And then again, as I mentioned, that you can click anywhere, and then as much elements that you want to draw, you can use it. Oh, come on. Right. So that's the first part of this video. Now the third thing is, now we need to implement the quiz screen, right? So for quiz screen, what we will be doing is that we will be randomly selecting a variable, we're randomly selecting a model, and we'll place it in the plane, and then we'll ask the user to select what alphabet is basically the correct for that specific object, right? So let's just go to UI screens, right? Inside this screens, inside this, go to this screen, and over here let's create a composable. Okay, and that is going to be the quiz screen. It's also gonna take a nav controller, so we'll be using nav controller from here. And other than that, we'll be just creating a screen. So the first thing that I want over here is that I need to create a column. Okay, and that column is going to be modifier dot fill max size, and let's just import these classes. Now once you do that, the next thing that we want to do is that we need to create a box that is going to be modifier dot fill max width. Okay, and inside that we'll create a text, and we'll make it quiz screen. Also we'll add a couple of more things, not fill max width, but we'll be adding line and make it center. Okay, something like this. We can add the font size to 24 sp as well. Okay, so now we have the text column and text, and now over here let's just do a couple of more things, or let's just do one more thing. Let's just make it a box. Okay, I want to create a box, and then so now over here what I'm going to do is that I'll make it AR scene. Okay, sorry, not AR scene, it is going to be AR scene. Okay, and now over here what it does is that I'll be making a couple of things over here to this. Okay, now if you remember, we already created a AR scene, and I have explained a couple of things in this AR screen. So what I'll do is that I'll just copy those things because most of the code that I require is same as this. So I'll just use this, and I'll place it over here in that quiz screen. Let's just place it over here. Okay, let's import whatever is not imported. So basically it's the same thing. It will be doing the same, all the same stuff. The only thing that is different in this screen is that we will not be allowing the user to tap or place. So the hit test will not be added to this. Okay, and the rest of the things should be the way they are. Okay, now what we want to do is that we want to detect when the session is updated. We want to automatically show a object, and that is going to be a random object, right? So now what we need to do is that over here The first thing that we need to do is that we'll check if child nodes dot is empty, sorry, is empty, which means now the nodes are not created. And then from the updated frame we'll get updated planes, which means that now it will give us the planes that are there. And now what over there that we will do is that we'll filter it by first or null, and inside that we will be saying that it dot type equals to doing the plane dot type. And then for vertical mean, it's like if it's a wall or something like that. For a horizontally upward mean, like if you are going towards a table or a surface, and then if for a downward facing mean that if you are like going towards roof or something like that. So it is this. I'll be using this because I'm going to test it on a simple table. Okay. And now this is basically, this is going to give me some sort of element. And now over here, what we'll do is that we'll create this, and once we have some plane that have these things, we will be creating that it dot create anchor or null. Okay. And this is gonna get the center position of this plane. So it will take the plane, and then inside that center position it will place that, create an anchor, and then to create basically anchor and place that model over here. That inside that, let's just create child node plus equals to utils create anchor node, and then over here we will be passing the required stuff that it needs. Model, that is going to be any of the model that we have. So basically this is the place where we want to create a random model for that, right? And how do we handle that, right? Basically, since it's going to be a random one, what I'll do is that I'll get over here, then inside that we'll create a model. I'll create a model, and that is going to be equals to remember mutable state of utils dot random model data. Okay. So basically we'll create a function, and that is basically will help us create this random model. So let's just get over here, create a member function, and then what it will do is that it will return a pair for string against string. Okay, so what exactly this mean is that basically it will be randomly getting a variable and create a key plus value. So basically the key over here, what it does is that it went from 0 till alphabet size, so like 0 to 26. It will randomly select any number, and then once it select a random number, it will get and then get that specific element based on that, and then that key basically is going to be the alphabet, and then for that model will be over here. So it's the first element is going to be the name like A B C D, and the second item would be the model or the name of the model that we will be placing it, right? So we have this thing now, and then we go back to our quiz screen. So we have this, right? And then over here what we will do is that we'll call it model dot value dot second, because the first one is the name or the text. Okay, now the next thing is that we have the AR scene created, and now what we want to do is that we want to create um, a raw. So this raw will basically help us with the options, the answers from where the user can select the correct or the wrong answers, right? So for that, we'll be doing modifier is equals to modifier till max width, right? And then now inside that also we should align this to bottom, alignment as bottom center. Okay. And then now inside that we have three different buttons. So let's call it list of answers is equals to remember. Okay. And then mutable state of list of tills dot alphabet dot keys dot random. That's first option. And then we will be adding another item as alphabets dot keys dot random, another random one, and the third one is going to be the model dot value dot first. Basically this is going to be the name. Now this is for the first time. The first time it will be creating something like this, and we will be setting it to this. And then over here what we want to do is that this list should be shuffled as well. So make sure to make it shuffle, because if you don't shuffle it, every time the third option will be the correct answer, right? But now when you shuffle it, the number can be anything. Okay, so now we have this thing. And now what over here what we will do is that we will be saying over here list of answer dot value for dot for each. So for each something like this. And now for each element we will be using alphabet item. Okay, and then that is basically we will be passing the IT on that. And then once user click on that item, we will be checking if the selected item is basically the one that is actually equals to the answer of it, right? We will be saying if model dot value dot first is equals to IT. So now over here what it means that the user has selected a correct answer. And now over here what we will do is that we will update the model, and then from the model we'll also update the list of items as well. And now let's say you want to count the score as well, right? So for score, another thing is that we will be creating a score for that. So will be score is equals to, remember, mutable state of 0. This is the score. And then inside over here, when basically the result is being added, it's correct, we'll be adding score dot value plus 1 is equals to 1, which means it will be added, another thing. And then we will be updating the model, and then we will be updating the this. And then make sure to create that to clear the child node as well, because we don't want the previous node, and then also the model instance, and also the frame, that current frame that we want is set to be null. That should be enough in this case for the implementation. Yeah, we need to show the score to the user. And for that what I'll do is that I'll basically get over here where we have this text for user as quiz screen. Let's just create one more and then make it center end, right? And this value is going to be score, and over here we will be passing score dot value. Just make sure to take this score to the top so that it's accessible from there. And I think this should be enough. Now let's just use the quiz screen in the main activity over here, and make it screen, this one. Pass the nav controller into this, and then you are good to go. Okay, now we are there. Everything is there. Let's just run the code and see if this everything is working. One more thing before running the code is that in the alphabet screen, you will remember that this alphabet that we created, the text fonts color should be black, because we have light colors, and for light color it's good to keep black as a icon. Now let's just run this code, and I'll show you over here. Now you can see I have this stuff. Okay, so now let's just test the code. Let's just click on the quiz, and over here let's just try something like this. Okay, the plane is there. It has identified the plane, and now you can see what it is. It's a WS ship. So I'll go for S, and I go over here. You can see that now it's a van, right? I click on V, and we get this. What else do we have? Do we see anything? Something we should be getting somewhere. Okay, yeah, over here you can see it's a watch. So So basically, you can see that this is how you can play with this and implement this really cool AR app that I have created. And right now we don't see the title and the score in the screen, and the buttons are also not in the center. So let's just do that. Let's just fix that, and then I think the app should be finalized. So let's just do it. So basically, to the go to the quiz screen, and we have this box that is basically placed over here. What I'll do is that I'll place it over here like this, and then this row, you can see that it's fill max width, but we need to center align this, right? So we'll just make it alignment as vertical alignment, and then arrangement should be center as well, so that all the elements are in center. Or you can make it like maybe space equally, right? So that it's something like that. And now let's just rerun this. Okay, now go to alphabets. You can see that now the text are updated and it's scrollable as well, or the way we wanted. And now let's just go back. Okay, so now let's just go to quiz and try to find a plane. So basically the thing is that since I have selected like a plane like this, you can see, and when I slightly update it, you will see that I have this owl. Let's just click on that. Score got updated. You can check from the score. And then now let's just look for the other item, and you can see now this is dog. So for dog, let's just click this. Then we have zebra, so we'll click zebra. Then we have parrot, and the score keeps on updating. So like if I move it slightly there, you will see that. And then you will also see that we already have always get this right number, but the correct answer is never the one element. It keep on shuffling, which I showed you that it will shuffle, right? So yeah, that is, I guess, pretty much what we had or what we wanted to create. So yeah, I think that was it for today, and I hope you liked the video. And if you did, please comment down below. Don't miss the comment, because when you don't comment, the video doesn't get the reach. So please do comment if you like the video. You just comment anything, and if you don't like the video, then please mention what you didn't like, and if you have any suggestions, I'll try to improve those. I'll try to work on those and improve it. So yeah, that's it for today. I hope you liked it. If you have any question, queries, you can also join my Discord server. The link is in the description. And other than that, the code for this specific repository will also be available on my GitHub. You can get the code and replicate it with your implementation to see where we have like differences. And yeah, I'm really excited to look how you guys can create some really exciting thing with this. Please do mention me whenever you create something, so that I can look into to it. And yeah, that's it for today. So that was it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a great day. Happy coding. Bye.